Assalamualaikum. We are going to present our system, Vetcare, Vet Clinic Management System. Hi, my name is Yasmin binti Rekman. My meeting number is 077088.
My name is Mohammed Shah bin Roslan. My meeting number is 078221. My name is Muhammad Ikram Basuki. My meeting number is 078114.
My name is Afrina Bakira binti Muhammad Syarif. Meeting number 079333.
So today I will present the API for the project group. My service is responsible for managing records in the system. It is an independent RESTful API developed using Site4. The central system does not access my database directly. Instead, it communicates with my API through the Ajax request. So this is a pets.html. It acts as the Ajax client. It communicates with my API without refreshing the web page. Instead of directly accessing the database, it sends the HTTP request to my API endpoint and receives the JSON responses. So this is the API URL used by the Ajax client. The URL points to my laptop IP address, allowing the central system to communicate with my API through the same Wi-Fi network. As we see, if I copy this and paste it into the browser, so this is the Ajax request. Uses the get method to retrieve all the pet records from my API. The API returns the data in JSON format. Once the response is received successfully, the records are displayed dynamically in the table without reloading the page. So this is the function save record, which is this is a post, which is for adding a new pet. So when there is no selected ID, the method decomposed. This means a new pet record will be created. So the form data entered by the user is converted into the JSON format and sent to the pet API. After the API successfully insert the data into the database, the table is refreshed automatically. So the put, which is for the update existing pet. So for this line, when the user clicks edit, the selected pet ID is stored. Therefore, the method changes from post to put. So this line indicates that saying that the selected ID is added to the URL, so the API knows which record should be updated. The updated form data is converted into JSON and sent to the API using a put request. After the database is updated, the latest data is displayed. So for the delete, which is for the deleting the pet, which is from this function delete record. So this AJAX request use the delete method. The selected ID is appended to the API URL, so the API knows which record to remove from the database. After the deletion is successful, the latest record are retrieved again using get and display in the table. If I define the API URL as and connect each URL to the appropriate function in the pets controller. So as you can see, the get API pets will retrieve all pet records. Get API pets ID will retrieve a specific pet. Post API pet creates a new pet record and put API pets ID updates an existing pet record. Delete API pets ID, which is going to delete the pet record. This route follow RESTful API conventions required for this project. Okay, next I will open my pet API. Okay, so this file contains the main business logic for the API. The pet controller receives a request for the Ajax client and then processes CRUD operation, communicates with the model and returns the JSON response. Okay. So the index function handle get request to retrieve all pet records from the database and return the JSON. The show function retrieve one pet using its ID. Uh, if the pet cannot be found, the API return a 404 not found. So the create function, the create function handle post request. The update function handle put request. The delete function handle the delete request. So this model represents the pets table in the database. Here we define the table name as pets and the primary key as ID. The return type is set to array so that the data can easily be converted into JSON responses. We also enable time span. This means connector to manage the create, add, and update at field. Next, we define the allow field. Only this file can be inserted or added to the API. This improves security because a user can assign an unexpected field to the database. Since the central system is run on this data and I want to connect the other laptops to my laptop, of course, we allow those systems to communicate through the same Wi-Fi network. So this is the central system which connected by the other APIs and my APIs. So this is my pet management with this API. So here I can input the pet name. Let's say I will put Choco. Species probably cat. A breed maybe tabby. And the age probably 1 year old. And then gender male. Owner name maybe Kamarul and owner phone this phone. So I'm going to save the pet. So the record has been added. So also I can remove the pet records from the table. Let's say I will remove Simba. So the record has been deleted. And I also can update the record of the pets. Here, it will put it up there, the info, the record data. And I can change probably maybe the name. Instead of maybe the name is Orange. And then it has been edited. It says here 15 records has been edited.
Now I will explain the REST API implementation developed using CI4. This controller is named Appointment Controller and Extend Resource Controller. It handles all CRUD operation for the Vetcare appointment management service. First, the system use the appointment model to communicate with the database. The API response format is set to JSON so the client application that can easily consume the data. Next, I will explain each API endpoint. For the get all point appointment operation, I use the index function. This function retrieves all appointment record from the database using find all. The record then return to the client in JSON format using response. Next is get single appointment operation. This function retrieves a specific appointment record based on the appointment ID. If the record does not exist, the API return an appointment not found response. Otherwise, the selected appointment data is returned in JSON format. For the create operation, I use the create function. This function receives appointment data sent from the Ajax client through a post request. The data is extracted from the JSON request body using getJSON2. The record is then inserted into the database using insert. After that, the API returns a success message indicating that the appointment has been created successfully. Next is update operation. This function receives update appointment information through a pull request. The system check whether the appointment record exists. If the record is found, the database is updated using update. The API then returns a success response indicating that the appointment has been updated successfully. Finally, for the delete operation, I use the delete function. This function receives the appointment ID from the client through a delete request. The system first verifies that the appointment exists if found. The record is removed from the database using delete. The API then return a success message confirming that the appointment has been deleted. Now I will explain the Ajax. First, the page uses the API URL appointment to communicate with the backend service. When the page load, the load record function automatically send an Ajax get request to retrieve all appointment record from the database and display from the table. For add the new appointment, user fill in the form field such as pet name, appointment date, owner name, service type, and status. When the save button is clicked, then the save record function is collected from data using get from data and send it to the API using for the edit request. For updating appointment, user click the edit button. The edit record function load the selected record into the form and change the button text to update. Then the system send to an edit put request to update the existing record. For delete appointment, user click the delete button. The delete record function first display a confirmation message. If confirmed, an edit delete request is sent to remove its selected record from the database. In summary, this page implement complete CRUD operation using Ajax, allowing user to manage appointment record efficiently without refreshing the web page. And then this is filter code. This file is a part of CSW33903 framework and is used to define filter that can be applied to HTTP requests. Next is appointment model. This model represents the treatment table in the database and define the field that can be must assign. It also specify that the primary key is treatment ID and that the model should return user as array. And this is for rows. So for appointment management, I will put the tone for owner name, Camaro, and we can set the date, alphabet date, and service type. For example, is vaccination. Status of receipt appointment. And this will appear in number A and we can edit. For example, owner Tony and then after we will change the pet name and we can delete. For example, delete Tony and then we will delete folder and we can change the edit for status. For example, edit for complete. And then it will set for complete. So will appear at dashboard for the survey record has 5 from thank you.
The system is used to manage veterinary information, including veterinarian name, specialization, phone number, email, and specialized available date. The system consists of two main components, the Ajax client and the REST API. First, let's look at the dashboard. The top form at the top allows users to enter veterinary information. The table below displays all veterinarian records stored in the database. Each record contains edit and delete button for managing the data. Now I will explain the Ajax implementation. This is my veterinarian.html. This page is used to manage veterinary information, including veterinarian name, specialization, phone number, email address, and available date. At the top of the code, I define the API endpoint using this const API URL. This URL allows the client application to communicate with the veterinarian REST API. Next, I created a configuration object called client page. This object defines the page title from fields and table columns that will be displayed on the screen. This render form function dynamically generates the veterinarian form based on the fields defined in the configuration object. The render table function displays the veterinarian records inside the HTML table and automatically creates edit and build buttons for each record. To retrieve data from the API, I implemented the load records. The load record function. This function sends a get request using Ajax and displays the return veterinarian records in the table. For adding and updating records, I use the save record. This one. This save record function. If no record is selected, it plans a post request to create a new veterinarian. If a record is selected, it sends a put request to update the existing veterinarian. The edit record function loads the selected veterinary information into the form, allowing users to modify the data. The delete record function sends a delete request to the API after confirmation and removes the selected record from the system. Finally, when the page loads, the render client page function initializes the page, generates the form, and loads all veterinary records automatically. As a result, users can perform complete CRUD operation dynamically through Ajax without refreshing the page. The control is called veterinarians.php and extends a resource controller. The index method, first one is index method. This method handles get requests and uses find all to retrieve all veterinarian records. Next, it's show method. The show method retrieves a specific veterinarian record based on its ID. If the record does not exist, it returns a veterinarian not found message. Next is the create method. Create method handles post request. It receives JSON data from the client and inserts the data into the database. Next is the update method that handles put request. It checks whether the veterinarian exists and it then updates the record. Lastly is about delete method that handles delete request. It verifies that the record exists before moving it from the database. Together, these methods provide a complete CRUD functionality for the system. Next, I will explain model. This is my veterinarian model HTTP. The veterinarian model extends the code igniter model class. The table property is set to veterinarians, which connects the model to the veterinarians table in MySQL. The primary key is ID, and the allowed fields property specifies which fields can be inserted or updated. These fields are vet name, specialization, phone, email, and available date. This improves security by preventing unauthorized field from being modified. The return type is set to base to return as an array being retrieved from the database. When the page load, veterinarian records are displayed through a get request. Now first, let me add an veterinarian. For example, specialization in surgery. No, double day is not Sunday. Click save veterinary and the record is added. This record is successfully added using a post request. And then let's try to edit a veterinary. The record will display on the top form, and then we can edit it using the top form that display above. For example, let's change the name to, and then click update veterinarian. The record is successfully updated using a put request. Now let's test delete a veterinarian. For example, let's choose this. And then a display call, that says delete this record will pop out, and then we click OK. Then it will say that the record is successfully removed using a delete request. As we can see, all operations are performed dynamically without refreshing the page. And in conclusion, this project illustrates how Ajax, REST API models, and cores can work together in CI4 to perform crude operations efficiently. Data is exchanged in JSON format and stored in MySQL, and is displayed dynamically through Ajax. Thank you, that's all for me. Thank you.
In this video, I will explain the API and Ajax implementation of my Vetcare training management system. First, I will explain the REST API. First method is index method. This method handles get request to the endpoint API / treatments. When the client sends a get request, the controller retrieves all treatment records from the database using the treatment model and returns the data in JSON format. Next is the show method. This method handles get requests for a specific treatment ID. For example, API treatment ID more. The API retrieves and returns a single treatment record. If the record does not exist, the API returns a treatment not found false. The next is the create method, which handles post requests. When the client sends treatment information in JSON format, the API retrieves the data and inserts it into the database as a new treatment record. Next is the update method. This method updates an existing treatment record based on the ID provided by the client. Finally, the delete method handles delete request. Highlights when the delete request is received, the API removes the selected treatment record from the database and returns a confirmation message. Now I will explain the Ajax client. So in the treatment HTML, first I define the API endpoint using a server IP address in here. The API URL using an API address allows the client application to communicate with the API even when the API is hosted on a different laptop or server. Next, I will explain the read operation. When the page is loaded, the load records function is automatically executed. Inside this function, Ajax sends a get request to the API endpoint. The API returns the treatment record in JSON format, and the response is processed by the render table function to display the record in HTML table. For the create operation, we use a save record function. When the user fills in the form and clicks the save treatment button, Ajax sends a post request to the API. The form data is collected using the get form data function and converted into JSON format using JSON string file. The API receives the data and stores the new treatment record in the database. The same save record function is also used for update operation. When a user clicks the edit button, the edit record function loads the selected record into the form. In here, edit record function. The selected record ID is stored in the selected ID variable. That when the save button is clicked again, the system detects that as a record ID already exists and automatically changes the request method from post to put. Ajax then sends a put request to the API and selected treatment record is updated in the database. For the delete operation, I use the delete record function. When the user clicks the delete button, Ajax sends a delete request together with the selected treatment ID. The API processes the request and removes the corresponding record from the database. I also implemented error handling in every Ajax request. If the API fails to respond for an error occurs, a message will be displayed to notify the user. Overall, this Ajax implementation allows the client application to perform all operations, which are create, read, update, and delete by communicating with the REST API without reloading the entire web page. This is important because process and pre-flag options request about executing certain cross-origin requests such as post, put, and delete. Without crossing option support, the browser may block Ajax communication between the client and the API. Now I will demonstrate the system. This is the dashboard for our system, Vetcare system. This is my service, my treatment service, and this is the API URL used to call for the API, which is include my laptop IP address in here. As you can see here, we already have 27 records. I will start the demonstration. So first, the user can input ID, and the next is would be simple. And the treatment name is get antibiotics. And the date would be tomorrow, 11 June. So and then we click on the save treatment button. So as you can see here, the treatment already injected in here. And if you go back to the dashboard, you can see that the record increased from 27 to 28 records. I will now demonstrate to delete the one of your records. So as you can see here, after deleting the records is back to 27 records. To edit the record, you can click on this edit button, cycle here. We want to change the date from 18 June, we want to change to 26th of June, and then just click on update treatment button. So as you can see here, the record has been updated. We go back to the date infestation, and the date is already changed to 26th of June. That's all for me. Thank you.
So that's all from us. Thank you.